November 1944, somewhere in eastern France near the German border, a military convoy from Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, SHAEF, is traveling toward the front to inspect forward positions. General Dwight D. Eisenhower sits in the lead vehicle, reviewing reports. The convoy slows as it approaches a checkpoint. MPs wave them through, but then the lead vehicle suddenly brakes. An old beat-up Jeep is blocking the road. It's covered in mud, has no markings, no flags, no insignia, just a dirty vehicle that looks like it's been through hell. An older man in a filthy field jacket sits in the passenger seat, no rank visible. His helmet is dented. His uniform is so covered in mud and grime that it's impossible to tell if he's an officer or an enlisted man. He's arguing with an MP who's trying to get him to move. "Sir, you can't park here. General Eisenhower's convoy is coming through." "I don't care who's coming through," the muddy man replies. "I'm waiting for my tank commander. He's supposed to meet me here." Eisenhower's driver pulls up alongside. "Sir, should I ask them to move?" Eisenhower looks at the filthy soldier blocking the road. Something about him seems vaguely familiar, but he can't place it. "Who is that?" "No idea, sir. Some officer who won't move." The MP is getting frustrated. "Sir, I'm telling you, you need to move now. This is a priority convoy. And I'm telling you that I'm waiting for..." Then the muddy officer turns and sees Eisenhower's vehicle. Their eyes meet. The muddy officer grins widely. "Ike, what the hell are you doing out here?" Eisenhower stares. That voice, that grin, that complete lack of military courtesy. "George?" Eisenhower asks in disbelief. "Of course it's me. Who else would it be?" Eisenhower's aide gasps. "Sir, that's General Patton." "Apparently," Eisenhower says, still processing. The MP who'd been yelling at Patton goes pale. "Oh God, I've been yelling at General Patton." Patton waves dismissively. "You were doing your job. Good for you." Then to Eisenhower, "You got time? I can show you the real front lines, not the sanitized version headquarters shows you." This is the story of the many times Eisenhower and other senior Allied commanders encountered Patton at the front lines and didn't recognize him because he looked like a homeless supply sergeant rather than a three-star general, and why Patton deliberately cultivated that appearance. Patton has a specific uniform for frontline reconnaissance, the complete opposite of his famous parade uniform. For parades and official functions, immaculate dress uniform, every medal perfectly placed, boots polished to a mirror shine, pearl-handled revolvers gleaming, riding crop in hand, helmet with 3 stars prominently displayed. For frontline reconnaissance, plain field jacket with no insignia, standard issue helmet, usually dented, combat boots covered in mud, no visible rank, no medals, no identification, sometimes no helmet at all, just a knit cap. "When I want soldiers to see me, I dress like a general," Patton explains to his staff. "When I want to see the front without getting shot, I dress like a supply sergeant." His reasoning is sound. A general in full regalia is a target. German snipers specifically hunt for officers. Wearing obvious insignia at the front is suicide. But Patton takes it further than necessary. He deliberately makes himself look shabby, dirty, anonymous. "Why?" an aide asks. "Because when I look like everyone else, people tell me the truth. If they know I'm a general, they tell me what they think I want to hear. If they think I'm some random major, they tell me what's actually happening." October 1944, near Metz, France. General Omar Bradley is visiting Third Army positions. He's driven to a forward observation post to see German positions across the river. When he arrives, he finds several officers studying the enemy lines through binoculars. Among them is a man in a filthy uniform who's drawn sketches of German positions. "Good work," Bradley tells the sketching officer, assuming he's an intelligence lieutenant. "Your reconnaissance is excellent." "Thanks, Brad," the officer replies without looking up. Bradley freezes. That voice. He turns to look at the man properly. Despite the dirt and lack of insignia, he recognizes the profile. "George, what the hell are you doing here?" Patton finally looks up. "Reconnaissance, same as your boys, except I'm better at it." You're the 3rd Army commander. You shouldn't be at a forward observation post that's under German artillery range. How else am I supposed to know what the Germans are doing? Intelligence reports? Those are always 12 hours old. I need current information. You have staff officers for that. Staff officers tell me what I think I want to hear. I come up here and see the truth. Bradley notices that Patton's sketches are actually detailed tactical maps, German machine gun positions, artillery locations, probable command posts. You drew all this yourself? Who else would do it? Brad, you want to know why 3rd Army moves faster than anyone else? Because I know the terrain. I know where the Germans are. I don't rely on second-hand information. Bradley can't argue with results, but he's frustrated. George, if you get killed up here, then I die doing my job, better than dying behind a desk. After Bradley leaves, Patton's aide asks, "Sir, why didn't you tell General Bradley you were here before he arrived? Because then he would have ordered me to leave before I finished my reconnaissance. This way, I got my information and he got his lecture. Everyone's happy." December 1944, Battle of the Bulge. Eisenhower has called a meeting at Verdun to coordinate the Allied counterattack. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery is there, so is Bradley, and Patton. Or at least, Patton is supposed to be there. The meeting is about to start. Patton hasn't arrived. Eisenhower's annoyed. Where the hell is George? He radioed that he's coming from the front, sir. Should be here any minute. Montgomery sniffs. Typical Patton, always making an entrance.
10 minutes later, a muddy figure walks into the room. No escort, no fanfare. He's covered head to toe in frozen mud. His uniform is unidentifiable. His face is red from cold. A staff officer moves to intercept him. "Excuse me, this is a restricted—" "Let him through," Eisenhower says tiredly. He recognizes that walk. That's Patton. Montgomery stares. That cannot possibly be Patton. "It is," Bradley confirms. "That's how he always looks coming from the front." Patton crosses to the map table, trails mud across the floor. He doesn't apologize, doesn't explain, just studies the map. How long will it take 3rd Army to disengage from its current offensive and attack north toward Bastogne? Eisenhower asks. 48 hours, Patton replies instantly. The room goes silent. Montgomery actually laughs. Impossible. You'd need at least a week to coordinate that kind of movement. I can do it in 48 hours. You can't possibly— "I already gave the orders," Patton interrupts, "before I came here. 3 different attack plans, depending on which direction you wanted me to go. The orders are sitting on my desk, ready to transmit. I just needed to know which plan to execute." Eisenhower stares at him. "You planned this before the meeting?" "Of course. That's why I was at the front. Had to see the terrain myself to know which routes would work." After the meeting, Montgomery pulls Eisenhower aside. "Does he always look like that? At the front?" "Yes." "How does anyone recognize him?" "That's the point, Monty. They don't." December 1944, near Saarbrücken. Patton is conducting reconnaissance near German lines when a sniper opens fire. Bullets snap through the air around him. His driver hits the ground. "Sir, get down!" Patton doesn't move. He stands there, looking toward where the shots came from. "Sir, you're gonna get killed." He's not aiming at me. He's aiming at the Jeep. He thinks we're a supply detail. "Sir, that doesn't mean—" Another shot, this one close enough that Patton feels the pressure wave. "Okay, that one was aimed at me," Patton admits. He dives behind the Jeep. The sniper fires several more times, then stops. "Why isn't he firing?" the driver asks. "Because he can't figure out who we are. We're not dressed like officers. We're not acting like supply troops. We're just 2 random Americans in a dirty Jeep. He's confused." They wait 5 minutes, no more shots. "Let's go," Patton says, "but slowly. Don't do anything that looks like retreat." They get back in the Jeep and drive casually, as if being shot at was a minor inconvenience. Later, when they're safely back at headquarters, the driver asks, "Sir, you deliberately don't wear rank insignia at the front. Is it because of snipers?" "Partly," Patton admits. "German snipers hunt for officers. Stars on your helmet make you a target. But mostly I do it so I can move freely without everyone performing for the general. But if they think I'm just another officer doing reconnaissance, they act natural. I see the real situation." January 1945, somewhere in Belgium, Eisenhower decides to make an unannounced inspection of a supply depot. He wants to see how supplies are actually being distributed, not a show put on for visiting brass. He arrives in an unmarked vehicle with minimal escort. The depot is chaos, trucks everywhere, supplies stacked haphazardly, soldiers working frantically to keep up with demand. A supply sergeant is screaming at someone near a stack of ammunition crates. "I don't care what your authorization says. I don't have any more goddamn ammo to give you." "Then find some," the man replies. He's wearing a muddy field jacket, no rank visible. "My men are fighting Germans with empty rifles." "Everyone's fighting with empty rifles. I'm doing the best I can." Eisenhower approaches. "What's the problem here?" The sergeant snaps to attention when he sees Eisenhower's stars. "Sir, this officer is demanding ammunition I don't have. We're completely tapped out." Eisenhower looks at the muddy officer. Something familiar about him. "What unit are you with?" The man turns, grins. "Third Army." Eisenhower's stomach sinks. "George? Hello, Ike. Fancy meeting you here. What are you doing at a supply depot?" "Same thing you are, apparently, checking on supplies, except I've been here since 0500. Where have you been?" The supply sergeant's eyes are wide. He's been yelling at George C. Patton for 10 minutes. Eisenhower pinches the bridge of his nose. "George, you're an Army commander. You don't personally inspect supply depots." "Why not? I need to know if my men are getting what they need. Can't know that from reports." "You have logistics officers for this." "Logistics officers tell me everything's fine. This sergeant just told me the truth. We're out of ammunition." Patton turns to the sergeant. "No apology necessary. You were doing your job. Now let's figure out how to get you more ammo." For the next hour, Eisenhower watches Patton work with the supply sergeant, reorganizing distribution, identifying bottlenecks, solving problems. The commanding general of Third Army, covered in mud, doing the work of a logistics lieutenant. As they're leaving, Eisenhower asks, "Do you do this often?" "Every week, sometimes more." "Why don't I know about this?" "Because if you knew, you'd tell me to stop, and then I'd stop learning what's actually happening in my army." Private First Class David Richards writes home in January 1945. "Dear Mom, something weird happened yesterday. We were sitting in our foxhole, freezing, complaining about everything, when this older guy walked up. He was muddy, looked like he'd been fighting for weeks, no rank on his uniform. We figured he was a captain or major. He sat down with us and asked how we were doing. We told him the truth. We're cold, tired, scared. He listened, didn't give us any BS about duty or courage, just listened. Then he asked about our equipment, our ammunition, our supplies. We told him what we needed. He wrote it all down. He was about to leave when Jimmy asked him, 'What's your name, sir?' The guy grinned and said, 'Patton.' Mom, we'd been complaining to Patton for 20 minutes, the commanding general of Third Army, and we didn't recognize him because he looked like one of us. After he left, our lieutenant came by and asked what Patton wanted. We told him.
The next day, we got everything we'd asked for: ammunition, cold weather gear, better rations. Patton remembered. He came to the front, listened to regular soldiers complain, and fixed our problems. Now I understand why guys in Third Army would follow him anywhere. He doesn't just command from headquarters. He comes to us, lives with us, sees what we see. I've stopped complaining about the cold. If Patton can sleep in foxholes at age 59, I can do it at 22. Your son, David." That letter is representative of dozens found in archives. Soldiers encounter Patton at the front, don't recognize him, complain directly to him, and are shocked when they realize who he is. And consistently, they report that Patton fixes their problems within days. War photographers covering Third Army have standing orders from Patton's staff. When you see the general at the front, don't take pictures. "Why not?" one photographer asks. "Because if Germans see photographs of Patton at the front, they'll know what he looks like when he's conducting reconnaissance. Right now, they think he's always in dress uniform with stars on his helmet. We want to keep it that way." The photographers comply. The famous photos of Patton, gleaming helmet, perfect uniform, pearl-handled revolvers, are all from headquarters or official events. The unofficial photos, Patton in muddy fields, sleeping in foxholes, walking front lines, are rarely published during the war. One photographer does capture Patton at the front, dressed in his anonymous reconnaissance gear. The photo shows him looking nothing like the public image, dirty, tired, looking like any other exhausted officer. The photo is classified and not released until after the war. Why classify it, someone asks. because Patton's survival depends on Germans not recognizing him at the front, an intelligence officer explains. Right now, German snipers are hunting for a general in a fancy uniform. If they realized Patton looks like a muddy supply officer when he's at the front, they'd kill him within a week. March 1945, Germany. Patton is walking through recently captured territory, alone except for his driver, both in plain uniforms. They encounter German soldiers who haven't gotten word of the surrender. The Germans raise weapons. Patton doesn't. He just stands there, hands visible, looking completely unconcerned. "Americans?" one German asks in broken English. "Yes," Patton replies. "Officers?" "Yes." The Germans lower their weapons slightly. They're looking for an excuse to surrender. The war is clearly lost, but surrendering to random Americans is embarrassing. "What rank?" the German asks. Patton considers lying, saying he's a major or colonel, but something makes him tell the truth. "General, 3rd Army." The Germans' eyes widen. They know that name. Everyone knows Patton. "Are you Patton?" "Yes." For a tense moment, nobody moves. The Germans could shoot. They're close enough that they couldn't possibly miss. Then the German soldier lowers his weapon completely. "We surrender. To Patton is honor." They lay down their weapons. Patton's driver, who's been holding his breath, finally exhales. "Sir," he says after the Germans are secured, "you could have been killed." "Maybe," Patton says, "but if I lied about my rank and they found out later, they might have felt deceived and attacked. Telling the truth gave them a reason to surrender with honor." That's a hell of a gamble. War is gambling. I just bet on honesty. After the war, historians and fellow officers asked Patton's staff, why did he deliberately make himself anonymous at the front? The answers vary. General Hobart Gay, Patton's chief of staff, he wanted to see reality, not performance. Soldiers behave differently when a general is watching. By looking like everyone else, Patton saw the truth. Colonel Oscar Koch, intelligence officer, reconnaissance. Patton trusted his own observations more than any report. By going to the front himself, he gathered intelligence no staff officer could provide. Sergeant John Mims, Patton's driver. He genuinely cared about the soldiers. He wanted to see what they were experiencing, what they needed, what problems they faced. He couldn't do that from headquarters. Patton's own explanation in his diary. A general who doesn't know what his soldiers are experiencing is a general who will make mistakes that cost lives. I go to the front not because I'm brave, but because I'm responsible. These men fight because I order them to. The least I can do is understand what I'm asking of them. Throughout World War II, Dwight Eisenhower and dozens of other senior officers encountered George C. Patton at the front lines and didn't recognize him, because Patton deliberately dressed like nobody special, like a supply officer who'd been in the field too long, like someone who definitely wasn't a 3-star general. "Sir, that's Patton," was the sentence that summed up the most unique command style of World War II. A 3-star general who deliberately made himself anonymous so he could do his job better, and so he could live and die if necessary, alongside the soldiers who trusted him with their lives.